Welcome to another video by Jitterbit. Mainframes have been around for decades, and the thought of interacting with green screens in a modern way has been a challenge for many of our customers. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you how Jitterbit makes the integration with these types of systems much easier. We will be using IBM I, formerly known as AS400, as our example. So prepare yourself to experience interacting with a green screen in this video. First, we will show you how you can get data from an IBM I machine into a SQL-based database, specifically Postgres. Next, we will leverage Jitterbit API Manager to expose the data in IBM I as an API in a matter of seconds. And finally, we will show how Jitterbit will let you send data to our IBM I demo instance by calling an API built in Jitterbit. So let's get started. We'll start by logging into our IBM I environment. Once we're logged in, we'll go ahead and navigate to an area where we're going to be able to query our data. And we'll go ahead and do a query manager. And we're going to query our table. Let's go ahead and navigate to the specific area, QGPL. And we have a table called invoice. We're going to go ahead and navigate to that. As you can see, we have an invoice table with 2 records in it currently. Now we'll go ahead and look at our Postgres, make sure that there's no data in there. As you can see, we have 2 records in IBM and nothing in Postgres. This is Cloud Studio, where we design our integration, querying IBM and inserting into Postgres. Our IBM comes with a driver that allows us to connect to the DB2 underneath IBM I, and we also have a Postgres configured to accept the data coming from IBM I into our table. We're going to go ahead and actually run this query. That information is being sent to Jitterbit Harmony Cloud. As you can see, it's running and it's doing the querying and inserting it into our table, in this case in Postgres. As you can see, now we have the 2 records come across. Next, let's go ahead and look at how we can expose our data in IBM I as an API. As you can see, I've created a very simple operation that takes data from IBM and exposes it as an API. We're going to go ahead and actually create that API from scratch using Jitterbit API Manager. On this screen, as you can see, I have all my API URLs and all the filters across the top. I'm going to go ahead and create a new API. We're going to give it a name. This is a wizard-driven approach to designing APIs. Pick our environment and our project. We're going to give it a version, so that way we can have multiple versions of the same API. A quick description of what this API does, which is extracting invoices from our IBM I machine. We can set timeout, and we could set up SSL only, enable cores, or debugging mode. We'll accept the defaults. We pick our project. In this case, it was an AS400 DB2. The operation that we had done was get invoice data. We're going to do a get, and we're going to make it a final target so we can see the results immediately. As you can see, that's the second step. The third step is the security. We can create a new security profile. We're going to accept the anonymous, so we can just show it quickly. And we're ready to publish with the ability to also update any choices we made along the way. Just like that, we have our API. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the URL. And we're going to go to Postman and hit that API using a get verb. And as you can see, by clicking send, I'm calling the operation in Jitterbit. It's going to AS400 or IBM I, grabbing the information, sending it back as a JSON. Now this data could be consumed by another application. The other thing I want to do is go back and make a change in this invoice table. So as you can see, it's live data. So let's go ahead and do a change data on our invoice object. And we're going to change the PO from 8690213 to 214. And we'll go to save it. As you can see, where it was updated. Now, if we go back to Postman and hit send again, it's going behind the scene, grabbing the data and retrieving it and sending it back in a JSON format. As you can see, we got 214 as being the last 3 digits of the PO. So next, what we want to do is we want to be able to insert data using API. I've already created that API. I'm just going to call it. So we're going to make a post call to an API that we created in Jitterbit. In this case, we are going to give it a body. So the data that we're going to insert into AS400 or IBM I, it's going to be a JSON. And Jitterbit behind the scene will take care of all the transformation. And if we send it, we can see that we got a response back that it was accepted. And if we go back to our IBM I, if we navigate, scroll through the data, we'll eventually see the data we just inserted, which was the test2 with a test PO as being the name and ID being 2. As you can see, we can also look at that operation that we created in Jitterbit Studio. So if we can navigate back to our project, we can see how that post call was created. And we'll navigate to our workflow. We accepted API request, assign the variables, and just like that, we are able to insert it into AS400 or IBM I. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us on Twitter. See you next time.